When someone you trust turns their back on you, it feels like the ground beneath your feet is gone. But sometimes the hardest hits can lead to the most unexpected victories. Michelle's world shattered in an instant. The email, simple and cold, was the beginning of the end. It wasn't just any message. It was from Adam, her husband of 12 years, telling her that he wanted a divorce. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the reason he gave. He didn't love her anymore. He wanted to move on. And that was it. Michelle sat frozen in front of the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. She had always known something was off, but she had never imagined this. Her entire life had been built around Adam, their home, their family. She had sacrificed so much, but now she realized it had all been a lie. Her mind raced. Why now? She asked herself, eyes scanning the email again and again, hoping to see something, anything that would make sense of this sudden betrayal. Her hand trembled as she clicked the reply button, but before she could type a single word, another notification popped up. This time it was a text message from Adam's assistant at work. She barely even knew the woman, but the message was, "Clear, I'm so sorry, Michelle. Adam is in love with someone else. He's already seeing someone new. Please don't take this the wrong way. I hope you can find peace soon." The phone slipped from her hand and landed with a soft thud on the table. Michelle sat back in her chair, stunned, as the weight of the words settled in. Adam had moved on, without her, but she wasn't about to let him off that easy. Her heart burned with betrayal, but a surge of determination followed. "I won't let him get away with this," she muttered under her breath. She had spent years building a life with Adam, a life she believed was built on love and trust. Now she had to find out the truth, even if it meant facing the hardest truth of all. Michelle needed answers, and she wasn't about to wait for Adam to come crawling back. She needed to take matters into her own hands. The days after the email were a blur of sleepless nights and restless thoughts. Michelle's mind kept replaying everything she had overlooked. The way Adam had changed over the past few months, how he seemed distant, how he avoided eye contact. It had all been there, right in front of her, but she had been too blind to see it. But now, the pieces were coming together. She couldn't just let this happen. There had to be more to this story. It wasn't just a random affair. There had to be something deeper, something more sinister lurking beneath the surface. One night, as Michelle sat on the couch scrolling through Adam's old messages, she found something. It wasn't a message from him, but from someone named Julia. She'd never heard that name before. Her gut tightened as she clicked on the thread. The conversation was brief, but it told her everything she needed to know. Julia was the woman Adam had been seeing behind her back. But there was more. Julia wasn't just a random woman. She was connected to someone Michelle knew all too well, Adam's boss. The realization hit her like a punch to the stomach. Adam hadn't just fallen in love with Julia. He had been using her to get ahead in his career. He was willing to throw everything away for power and position. Michelle's breath quickened. This wasn't just a betrayal of love. It was a betrayal of everything she had worked for. The next day, Michelle didn't waste any time. She gathered everything she had, a few screenshots, the email, the text messages, and went straight to Adam's office. She knew he'd be there. It was a Friday afternoon, and he liked to work late on Fridays. As she walked through the sleek glass doors of his office building, her pulse raced. She could already hear the whispering of her co-workers, the ones who had seen Adam's behavior shift long before she had. They didn't know the whole story, but they all knew something wasn't right. She made her way to Adam's office, standing tall despite the ache in her chest. Her hand gripped the door handle, but just before she could open it, she heard voices. Adam's voice and another unfamiliar one. "She's been acting crazy," Adam's voice was saying. "She's trying to ruin everything I've worked for." Michelle's heart skipped a beat. He was talking about her. "She doesn't understand the sacrifices I had to make," Adam continued, his tone colder now. "And now, she's trying to make me look like the bad guy. I can't let her destroy everything." Michelle's stomach dropped as she pressed, her ear against the door, her pulse pounding in her ears. He was talking about her, but not as the woman he once loved. He was treating her like an obstacle in his quest for more power. "I don't care how she feels," Adam said bitterly. "I'm moving forward, and if she can't keep up, then she's out." Tears stung Michelle's eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. She wasn't about to let him manipulate her anymore. She knew exactly what she had to do. The following days were filled with strategy. Michelle spent hours gathering evidence, more than just text messages or emails. She had to expose Adam for what he really was, and for that, she needed something concrete. She called on her old friend, John, who had always been there for her, even when Adam wasn't. John had worked as a private investigator before switching careers, and he knew exactly how to get the job done. Michelle filled him in on everything: Julia, Adam's boss, the secrets she had uncovered, and together they made a plan. The goal was simple: expose Adam's lies, his manipulation, and his affair with Julia. But Michelle wasn't just after revenge. She wanted justice. She wanted Adam to face the consequences of his actions. It was a Tuesday when everything came to a head. Michelle received a call from Adam, his voice sweet and smooth as if nothing had happened. "Michelle, I know things are difficult right now, but I think we should talk. Can we meet somewhere? I want to make things right." Michelle's eyes narrowed as she listened to him. This wasn't about making things right. This was about him trying to worm his way out of the mess he had created, but she didn't let on. She stayed calm and agreed to meet him. They arranged to meet at a local park, a quiet place where Adam would feel comfortable. Michelle had other plans, though. She would be recording the conversation, and this time, she wasn't going to hold back. The day of the meeting, Michelle arrived early. Her phone was hidden in her pocket, the recording app running. She sat on a bench, the cool breeze ruffling her hair, her heart racing. Adam showed up right on time, his usual confident stride making her stomach twist. He smiled when he saw her, as if this was all just another casual conversation. "Hey, Michelle," he greeted, his voice still soft. "I'm glad you agreed to meet." Michelle smiled back, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Let's talk," she said, her voice steady. They sat down, and for a few moments, there was silence. Adam shifted uncomfortably, not knowing what was coming. "I know everything," Michelle said finally, her voice low but firm. Adam blinked, his face going pale. "What are you talking about?" "You think you can play me, Adam," she said, her eyes locking onto his. "But I know about you and Julia. I know about everything." Adam's smile faltered for the first time. He leaned forward, trying to regain control. "Michelle, you're misunderstanding things. Let me explain." "No," she interrupted, holding up her phone. "I already have all the explanation I need." With that, she played the recording, every word of his betrayal echoing in the air. His offers, his manipulative tone, it was all there. Michelle's heart pounded as the truth hung in the air like a thick fog. Adam's face turned bright red as he scrambled for words, but it was too late. "You can't do this," he stammered. "You're just trying to ruin me." "I'm not trying to ruin you," Michelle replied, her voice calm. "I'm just making sure you face the consequences." A week later, Adam was forced to resign from his position. His reputation was in tatters, and Julia was nowhere to be found. As for Michelle, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. The battle had been long and painful, but it had been worth it. The best part? She had regained her dignity, her voice, and her power. Michelle knew that her journey wasn't over. She still had a long road ahead, but for the first time in years, she felt like she was in control. The past had been dark and full of lies, but the future? It was hers to shape. And no one, especially not Adam, was going to take that away from her again.